This is the heaviest arthropod living on Earth. Meet Homarus americanus, formerly Asticus marinus, also known as the red lobster. Other names include American lobster, Canadian lobster, northern lobster, Maine lobster, Canadian red, or simply just lobster. Most of these lobsters average 24 inches in length and weigh 9 pounds. With the largest lobster weighing 50 pounds and measuring more than 40 inches long, it is one of the most famous seafoods to eat, especially the signature lobster tail. In fact, its signature tail appears in many restaurants like Crafty Crab, Hook and Reel, and even Outback Steakhouse. You can eat a lobster tail with crab cakes, French fries, as a lobstery way of fish and chips, or even the lovely filet mignon. Fun fact: lobsters previously replaced turkeys during the first American Thanksgiving dinner. Although typically colored in bright red or brownish red, there are also blue lobsters seen.
Wow, it's actually worse this time. That's a lot worse than yesterday.
You might be asking, how are hippos related to whales? Well, it was previously thought that hippos are related to pigs, boars and tapirs. But sadly, hippos are not even related to those ungulates. So, I learned something about hippopotamuses and cetaceans that made me say,
I don't buy it.
It has to do with prehistoric mammals. This is called evolution. About 50 million years ago, both hippos and cetaceans evolved from a small dog-sized deer-like terrestrial hoofed mammal. It later became a semi-aquatic carnivore. It later became mostly herbivorous, grew shorter legs and a stubby tail, possessed a heavy skull, and then became today's hippopotamus. Other walking whales include the entelodonts and other large-hoofed predators like Andrewsarchus. As for cetaceans, well, this predator has to grow longer in order to swim just like a cetacean. It will get to a larger size, its legs will be flippers, its tail will be a fluke, its fur will turn into blubbery skin, and its ears will just be ear holes. Its nostrils will get closer to the head, forming a blowhole. That's how cetaceans came to life. This is the tallest and heaviest deer living today. Say hello to Alces alces, formerly Cervus alces, also known as the moose. An average moose stands more than 6 feet tall and surpasses 1,100 pounds or half a ton, with a bigger bull towering almost 8 feet off the ground and weighing about a ton or 2,200 pounds. Which means that a moose is taller than a human, and weighs as much as a small compact car. Which is why you shouldn't run over a large bull moose. Even though cartoons depict moose as silly, goofy and sometimes stupid, a wild bull moose can turn aggressive towards a human. The moose loves to take dips in the water, and, as a bull, has large antlers shaped like dinner plates. Mature bulls use these antlers for fighting and attracting mates. Typically, these antlers are actually fuzzy, but some moose bulls have naked antlers. A bull moose is powerful enough to attack a grizzly bear. Another cool feature is that weird dewlap called a bell. That bell can reach 38 inches long. The moose is the tallest living land mammal in North America, Europe and Siberia, with 2 species of bison surpassing it in body weight. Whenever you compare a cow with a human, do you ever wonder, why does a cow have 4 stomachs while I, as a human, have only 1 and that's final? Well, actually, the 4 stomachs are a single stomach with 4 compartments: the reticulum, the rumen, the omasum and the abomasum. A cow, Bos taurus, is a type of ruminant, and is related to buffaloes, antelopes, the pronghorn, goats, sheep, deer, Giraffa camelopardalis, and even the most awkward of all animals. A cow is usually a herbivore, chewing on grass. Then it swallows the grass but then turns it into spit-covered grass called cud. This shit goes back up the mouth, and then returns to the stomach in order to get digested. The cud then goes through the 4 compartments, and then the cow will poop out all of that yucky saliva and grass.
Not this bullshit again.
Sometimes, a cow will not care if it swallows a rock, but for nutrients and to survive living without eating grass, it will eat an animal. I'm pretty sure that we have only 1 stomach because we're not designed to eat grass and turn it into spit-covered garbage. But hey, at least some of us eat cows to get that lovely filet mignon. Have you ever wondered, how do squids move around underwater? Well, most people traditionally think that they spread their legs and push the water, but that sometimes happens. Here's how a squid actually looks like. Does this look like Bubbles' Octi-doll?
Shame.
Now, look at this mushroom cap on the squid. This is called a mantle. There's a hole where the squid can suck in water in the mantle. If you flip the squid over like a pancake, you'll see a tube attached to the mantle cavity. What is the hole, exactly? Well, it's called the siphon. So if a squid wants to move around,
Well, you know how these things go.
It just sucks in water into its mantle and then shoots out the water through its siphon, like water shooting out of a garden hose. This acts like a jetpack, which shoots the squid to the direction that it wants to go, like a cannon shooting out a ball. On top of the mantle, there's fins that acts like propellers that stirs the squid to a direction.
You understand? I do.
You're probably asking yourself in terror, what if a giant anaconda swallowed a human? Well, an anaconda would typically go for big animals like cows, tapirs, and caimans. But there were some cases of these 500-pound snakes consuming a person. Or at least, trying to consume a person. In fact, there was a case in 2014 that said that an anaconda tried to swallow a man whole, but the snake failed because he was covered in strong armor. So, the way an anaconda will eat you is by wrapping around you and crushing you to death. It can crush a caiman's armored skin with 90-100 pounds of force. A test experiment showed an anaconda hugging a duck to death. Then after it feels no heartbeat, it will then flex its jaws to swallow you. Luckily, it has no venomous fangs. But these fangs are actually designed to hold on to its prey. As you go through the snake's mouth, you'll feel something wet.
Ew.
Well, that's because the snake is moistening you with its spit so that you go through easily. After it consumes you, there will be a visible bump on the snake, but it will take care of that. It will wriggle and slither around to crush you into pieces before it digests you. After that, special enzymes will burn away your skin and bones before the snake poops you out. But luckily enough, it is rare to see an anaconda consume a human. This is a dugong. It is a type of sea cow, part of the Sirenia order. It is big, averaging 8.5 feet long and weighing almost 1,000 pounds. With a bigger bull reaching 11 feet long and weighing almost a ton, 2,200 pounds. These seaweed eaters love having fishes massage their backs. Previously, it was recognized as a fourth manatee species in the Trichechus genus. It is different from manatees because its tailfin looks like a whale's tailfin. It's the only surviving member of the Dugongnidae family, since its bigger relative, Steller's sea cow, went extinct in 1768. They love eating seaweed from the seabed, but even though they are fully aquatic, they sometimes crawl out of the water and walk on land. Speaking of walking on land, sirenians evolved from terrestrial mammals that then took dips in the water. But dugongs don't even have the nails that manatees have. Although they look like a hybrid of a hippo, whale, and walrus. They are actually related to and descended from elephants. They are vulnerable. These are what people like to call the real-life mermaids. This giant toad has become a serious problem in Florida. The cane toad, Florida's dog killer. This is the biggest toad on Earth, usually reaching 6 to 8 inches in snout vent length and weighing 3 pounds, with the largest reaching 13 inches in snout vent length and weighing 6.5 pounds. Nicknames include marine toad, giant toad, and even Australian cane toad. These big boys were formerly assigned to the Bufo genus, which then became a giant unstoppable tradition that led to the famous nickname, the Bufo toad. But they're now known as South American beaked toads in the genus Brinella, which are mostly found in South America, and are famous for their beak mouths and their colorful black backs that actually scare me to death. But these toads became invasive, causing problems in Australia, Sweden, the Philippines, and worst of all, Florida. That started when the Aussies were having issues with cane beetles eating their canes. In Florida, cats and dogs eat small versions of the cane toad, and they die because the toad has pouches full of creamy poison. Cars run over these toads. Please welcome Canis lupus, also known as the wolf, the real-life big bad wolf, the mascot of the famous 1960s rock and roll band, Steppenwolf.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that gifted us the domestic wolves and dog breeds of Canis familiaris.
Boy, do I feel freaking gifted.
Other names include gray wolf, timber wolf, and even common wolf. It has a total of 38 living subspecies, with 16 subspecies going extinct. Many members of the Canis genus were previously described as a subspecies of wolf, and that also includes the more synonymous dingo, and even the famous domestic dog breeds that descended from the wolf. It is the biggest wild member of the Canidae family and Canina subfamily, with the smallest standing 20 inches tall and weighing 30 pounds, and the largest standing 50 inches tall and weighing 150 pounds or even 180 pounds. Many people think of wolves howling at the moon for no god-darn reason as a tradition. But that's the wrong answer, y'all. The reason why they howl is to communicate with each other. You might have a question about Artiodactyla. Why are cetaceans considered artiodactyls, although they have no hooves? Well, the answer will make you say,
What?
Let me explain. All living artiodactyls evolved from a small dog-sized deer-like terrestrial hoofed mammal, which had the ability to hop like a bunny rabbit. That mammal gave rise to the cows, bovines, deer, giraffes, antelopes, pronghorns, swines, javelinas, camelidae, goats and sheep, chevrontanes, and even mosquidae. Some were previously described as parasitactyls, like the okapi, because back then it looked too much like an uncanny zebra, and also, tapirs, which are true parasitactyls, were formerly classified as a type of hippopotamus in the Artiodactyla group. As for cetaceans, well, here's the part where evolution takes a whole new level. That tiny hoofed critter would later become semi-aquatic, which actually brought rise to the hippopotamus and many hoofed predators. Then later on, the critter would look a bit like an otter. And then, its legs and tail become flippers and a fluke. Its nose will become a blowhole, and it will also evolve earholes and blubbery skin. And that's how Cetacea and Hippopotamidae became artiodactyls.